Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 16th day of the month of September, 2025, Tuesday of the 24th week of the year, the 24th week in Ordinary Time. It is also the day in which we honor the the memory of Saints Cornelius and Cyprian. Cornelius, who both of them were bishops. That's got to be first understood. They lived in the 3rd century, the 200s. Both of them were bishops. Cornelius happens to be Bishop of Rome. And so what happens is he comes down to be known as a pope because he was Bishop of Rome. But this was long before we had popes, and yet we still call Cornelius a pope. So both he and Cyprian is a bishop. Cyprian's a bishop of Carthage in North Africa, I believe. I can't remember. But both of them were bishops, and both of them sought to lead their people through times of persecution and especially unraveling and unrest and things like that. It was the time of the Decian persecution. The Emperor Decius, who instigates a persecution against Christians, and a couple of other people too, about the mid-200s, the mid-3rd century. And Cornelius and Cyprian both become victims of that, along with other Christians too. And then things will die down until you get to the time of Diocletian later on in the late 300s or early 300s, and then things begin to spur up again against Christians. But this was kind of a Western European persecution that was happening, as opposed to persecutions in the East, which there were always more of against the Christians than there were in the West, because the government was in the East by that time and could really corral people to do a persecution, things like that. So we honor their memory, again, what they tried to stand for and how they tried to lead the people, especially in times of unrest and distress. It is a rainy day here in Long Beach Island, which is why I am under the overhang of the church building over here to do this one, because it's too wet outside. But our readings for today, even though we are honoring these two bishops, our continuation, are very good, considering that we're honoring these two bishops, because First Timothy continues with first an explanation of what should go into, again, the position of overseer, the position of caretaker, of person who coordinates things, who directs things. Again, it's called bishop in our readings, but it is not bishop as we understand it today, far from what we understand today. And so it's important to know. But again, who they happen to be, well, they should be people who can lead, and people whose lives are are ordered in such a way to allow them to lead, that they aren't crazy, and that they are models. They have to be in some way a model, a guide for what it means to live this life, to be able to inspire the people for whom they guide and for whom they oversee, to continue leading this Christian life. So that's, again, an important thing. Again, I said he wasn't necessarily a bishop, but not a bishop as we understand bishop today. He was more the sense of a person who cared for the community and the chief caretaker of the community, and again, particularly the church at Ephesus in Greece. It goes on, though, to talk then about the deacon. Again, there are no such thing as priests yet. They don't exist yet. There's just the bishops and the deacons. And the deacons are the people who care for the needs of the community and make sure that the hungry are being fed, the naked are being clothed, that those who are homeless find shelter, these kinds of things like that. And again, their kind of personalities and character matters in such a way. The thing with bishops is that they should only be married once. The same thing true about deacons. So there is no celibacy yet. There's no celibacy yet. Again, to be a minister in the early church did not have to involve celibacy. This comes in after the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215, which is, again, a whole other story. But the wonderful thing about this reading, which we have to kind of think about, is that it also then speaks of women. It doesn't speak of wives, i.e. wives of deacons. It speaks of women who seem to be doing the same thing that the men deacons are doing, or something similar to that. So again, women's diaconate, should it exist, should it not exist? Well, Timothy kind of gives us some kind of pointer to it, and we probably should pay attention to it. I don't know. I think so. But this is where both women and men who are in this position of caring for people, and again, it would seem only proper, because in proper Roman society, men of goodwill did not mess with women's problems. Women helped women. It's like men helped men. It doesn't mean that they couldn't, but generally they would be thought of as bad people if they were constantly, interfering with other sexes issues and things like that. And so this whole sense in which there would have to be women, who had that kind of a position, maybe perhaps of being deacon, who could care in this way. And Timothy kind of points us in this. And again, the same type of idea of character. Can you be a model to lead people to understand what it means to serve within this church, to lead within this church, to serve within this church, all coming from the experience of one another in service and in leadership within the church. Luke's gospel takes us to the town of Nain in the northern part of Israel. And there is a widow whose son has died. And again, Jesus is moved with compassion as the funeral procession is going by, because as a widow without a son to care for her, this woman would probably be on the street and something worse would happen to her. So Jesus raises this young man to bring him back to his mother so that he can be able to care for her and the family can be reunited and then be able to continue to flourish and sustain itself. Again, this whole understanding of Jesus having this kind of compassion to see a situation and then to correct it. Did he correct every situation? No, or at least the Gospels don't show that he did. But those that he was able to correct, again, brought people to an understanding of God who cares, a God who notices what's going on, a God who wants to be involved even in the great and small things in our life, to bring us, again, hope, to bring us a sense of joy, to bring us a sense of comfort and peace. An important thing always to remember, again, about our God and our relationship with this wonderful God that is ours. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God, from our rainy Long Beach Island. May the Lord give you his peace.